Hello and welcome to the Free Outside Show. I couldn't quite get enough guests to join me with a week's notice, so this one is a replay, but it's also by the overall FKT holder of the Appalachian Trail. See how I said that? I'm getting better. So we're going to talk with Tara Dower, even though we already did like a year ago. So if you already heard that, still listen because that's how I make money and it looks better. Even better, go over to YouTube and listen and just give it a thumbs up because likes make me feel good about my life. So during this FKT, I am raising money, a fundraiser, as they say, for the Trevor Project. Why? Because you could raise money for a trail or, I don't know, a wilderness area or a river, or you could raise it to provide services to help people stay alive, especially affected communities as, things are not headed the direction where we value people for being different and weird. And since I'm different and weird, I thought I would try to make a difference for my one chance to be the center of attention. Just kidding, I've been the center of attention a lot. I have a podcast, I'm a white guy, come on, center of attention. But consider donating. The link is down below. And the goal is $10 raised for every mile that I'm walking, hopefully running some of it. But we won't make you do the math on how much extra you have to donate if I'm running. All right, this is Tara Dower. We talked a month or two after she set the FKT on the Appalachian Trail, and hopefully this will explain a little what I'm going through, except for I have no support crew. Which way's harder? I don't know. You be the judge. This episode and all of them are brought to you by John G, Garage Grown Gear, Mount to Coast, and CS Coffee. All right, enjoy the episode. Give us 5 stars and smash that subscribe button. Here's Tara Dower. Yeah. All right, today we're joined by the 2024 Umstead 100 winner, the 2023 Run Rabbit Run 100 winner, the 2022 Devil Dog 100 winner, the Colorado Trail supported FKT holder, and what was it? Appalachian Trail? Yeah, there we go.
Appalachian? Is it Appalachian?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll just do a fan vote on what it is. But I do know if you call it Appalachian, more people get mad than if you say Appalachian.
Yeah, I get mad. It didn't roll off my tongue nicely. I was like, oh gosh, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, so the overall record holder on the Appalachian Trail, which is incredible. I want to start with this thing that I think not very many people talk about. How does it feel, and is it hard after you set such a big record, achieve such a big goal, to not have this goal to go after? Like, what's the post-hike depression? How hard is it? I mean, it's incredible, but also you kind of lose this thing that took over your life. What's that like?
Yeah, it was post-trail depression was pretty bad after like 2 full weeks after the FKT. I missed... I miss like the goal orienting, whatever, of like every day. Like every day I had a goal to do this many miles and like I achieved it and that felt great. But I think the thing I was missing the most was the experience, the crew. I was with people out. The crew was amazing. The pacers were amazing. My best friend Rascal, my mom, I spent every day with them. And it's just like, then all of a sudden it was over and we all went our separate ways, and there was no like coming off of that. It was just like all of a sudden we're done and that's it, and everything's gone. Like I was really hungry and tired and a little ornery, and on top of that I was just missing all these people I spent 6 weeks with, and that was really difficult. I missed the trail a lot. It was gorgeous. We had great weather, and 6 days after we completed the FKT, Hurricane Helene came through and decimated the southern Appalachian Mountains and those communities, which is so sad and unfortunate. But when I was on the trail, it was just so beautiful and perfect weather, sunsets, sunrises every single day, just orange, purple, pink skies. It was perfect. And I loved being out there, and I love pushing my limits, and I love getting to that point in FKTs where it's like, this is so hard and I'm so tired and I'm so sleep deprived, but it's kind of like exciting in a way. It's like, ooh, I made it. We're here. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah. Was it almost like a shock to get to the end of like, I'm so in this routine every day that when you finally hit the end and it's over, it's like, whoa, now I guess we don't do that anymore.
Was it hard with that?
Yeah. Was it just like a weird thing that did it feel like it ended suddenly just with how you have to get in such a routine for 40 days in a row?
Yeah. I mean, this wasn't that big of a deal, but it was also like, when do I eat? How do I eat? I ate throughout the day all the time. So I ate to 10,000 calories, just everyone's just shoving food in my mouth. And I've talked about this a lot on podcasts, but with it being a supported FKT and how heavily the crew and I leaned into the supported aspect of this FKT, I lost all autonomy. I lost any decision-making I had. I just was the vehicle for this FKT, and they were making all the decisions. They were feeding me and tracking my calories, making decisions about mileage. So I didn't have to do any of that decision making, and I didn't have to feed myself. People just handed me food, and I ate the food, whatever they handed me. So, that was really hard with that just ending so abruptly and having to I know that sounds a little weird. Of course I know how to make my own decisions, but going from doing nothing but running, literally all I had to do was run, and then I could decide when I was using the bathroom, and that was it. Going from that to everything that comes with coming back into society, it was just, that was a hard transition for sure.
Totally. I want to go into the planning process because I think that's the coolest part of FKTs and really set it up for success. When did the Appalachian Trail FKT turn from an idea into a goal? Go from that would be cool to I can actually do this. Was there a moment or a different FKT where you realized you could do it?
Yeah, the Benton MacKaye Trail, I set the overall FKT on that in 22, I think it was. And people like to call it the mini Appalachian Trail. It's 280 so miles in the southern Appalachian Mountains. So it goes through the Smokies and it goes down through Tennessee and Georgia. And it's very similar trail to the Appalachian Trail. And after finishing that, I finished it in 4 days and change. And I finished and I was like, okay, I'm tired and I'm hungry and I don't want to be doing this anymore, but I felt okay. And I was like, well, if I needed to, I could probably keep going. And that's where the idea sparked in 22 that was well, you never know if you don't try. So might as well just go for this FKT that I've always revered. I am a big fan. I worked for Jen Farr Davis. And so I got a lot of information from her, and friends with Warren Doyle, and Carl Meltzer was my coach. And Liz Durstein, I helped her during her FKT on the Appalachian Trail. And so I have all these people in this FKT.
It was
Appalachian
destined.
Trail. It honestly feels truly like it was destined. I have just linked up with these people very naturally, and it just seemed kind of lining up to be the perfect FKT, and it was. But yeah, it was truly destined, and I just thought okay, after the Benton MacKaye Trail, like I said, you never know if you don't try, so should just attempt to see. Honestly, it's such a big gamble to go out there for a 2,200 mile FKT. Anything could happen. But if it turns out great, then that's awesome. If it doesn't, then you learned a lesson. But I was willing to just go out there and be curious.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that, especially current day, is so hard is I think we build failure up as this thing we should never expose ourselves to. And having had a pretty awful year athletically and failed it a lot, I'm still glad I went after a lot. And I think the beauty is going after something. And with that, since one other thing we both have in common is I had a panic attack and ended up in the ER thinking I had a brain tumor. I believe you had a panic attack on the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah.
And I just want to really hit on, yeah, like what was that like out there, and how did you overcome it to do something so crazy?
Dude, I had the same experience. I thought I was having a heart attack though, and I went to the doctor and he says, "No, you're not having a heart attack. That's anxiety." I'm like, oh, dang it.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
I drove myself to the ER and they asked if anyone could drive me home, and it was like, no, I haven't told anyone. I'm too embarrassed, but I think I'm having a brain tumor.
Oh yeah. It's sometimes it's just like a very physical manifestation of anxiety. I always picture panic attacks in a different way, and I never really understood it. Like I can just talk about mine. But essentially in 2017 I attempted to thru hike the AT by myself. Went out there, didn't have like a whole lot of experience with backpacking. I had done a couple backpacking trips and camped a lot as a kid and throughout college. So I was fine like car camping, but backpacking by myself was a little different. So I went out there, and 8 days in, 80 miles in, I made it to Bly Gap. Was really happy I made it into Georgia, or out of Georgia. I felt really accomplished. But the 4 days prior, I was just feeling a lot of impending doom. And I didn't really know where that was coming from. You know, of course I miss family and friends, and, you know, a couple other things were going on, but it was really this like impending doom and this hyperfixation on Katahdin, and like that was my goal. And to every single day have the goal being the end of a 5 to 6 month journey is really difficult. It's really difficult. So I felt okay going into Bly Gap, camping there with some friends that I had made, and I went to sleep and woke up the next morning. I had a migraine and I was like hyperventilating. I felt like something was sitting on my chest. I just felt like, I don't know if you can kind of verbalize this a little better, but like it almost felt like I just had like thorns all over me. Like I was very chilled. It was just like, I felt very uncomfortable in my skin. It was very much a physical manifestation of anxiety, and it was like so scary. I like packed up all my stuff. My grandparents luckily lived like an hour away, so it wasn't that I had to go get a shuttle or anything. So luckily I had a family, some like familiar people nearby that could scoop me up. But on my way down, I took this like side road from like, I went down Bly Gap, I walked south, took the side road, was walking down to where I could meet my grandparents, and a dog came out of this house and bit my ankle. I was like, what the heck? I'm having a panic attack. This dog bites me. I'm like crying on the road, thinking I'm a big failure. So yeah, I think it was, like you mentioned, like failure. At the time, it was so hard and it was so difficult because everyone in my life knew I was going to be a thru hiker. That's all I wanted. Like I graduated college and was like, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to get into a career. I'm going to thru hike and then I'm going to get into a career. And it just didn't work out that way. And I pretty much lost like what I thought my identity was. And now I look back at it and I'm really happy I went through that failure because it taught me a lot about myself. I, dove deeper into my anxiety. I understood my motivations. I understood like my original reason for going out to the Appalachian Trail, was to experience the community and the culture, not to get to Katahdin and be a thru hiker to check that box. It was to be enriched in this like community, like Appalachia community, and the trail community, trail names, all of that stuff. And I just was like not focused on that when I set out in 2017. So I was able to like revamp my like motivations for going to the Appalachian Trail, and I think that set up the entire, I call it my trail career, like my entire trail career, to kind of be aligned with that. And I'm really glad I went through that experience, even though in the moment it sucked.
Totally. Yeah. When I had panic attack, I was just like throwing up sporadically every like 20 to 30 minutes. I would like sleep with the covers on, then pull them off. Everything was uncomfortable about life in every way. And I didn't know, this was only maybe 4 years ago. I didn't know that like mental health has very real ramifications in the physical health world too. And so just how I was brought up and everything. So that was a lesson of like, WebMD this is really bad. I got to go to the hospital. I got to act immediately. And then it like just opened up and softened me to like this whole greater world of how everything is interconnected between mental health and how you see the world. But the impending doom, I think, was the hardest thing, where it's like that pit in your stomach, like at any moment an asteroid's going to destroy me or something. It's just the craziest thing. And I can't imagine having that on a trail and having to figure out self-extraction while feeling miserable.
Yeah. And then having a dog bite you is added to that. Like, what the heck? Why is this happening? Why does the universe hate me right now?
Literally bit while you're down. Yeah, it's so awful. Yeah. And then what did you do after that very quick failed attempt? What was the next through hike you went on, or how did you kind of right the ship with love of the outdoors? And
I
stuff?
took 2 years off, and just thought like, I'm just going to be a section hiker. This obviously wasn't meant for me. And then went back in 2019 and, with the right motivations, and had been working on my anxiety. I knew what kind of experience I wanted. I went out there 5 months and 10 days, and I still say this to this day, but like, I peaked in life in 2019 during my thru hike. It was just an incredible experience. I made lifelong friends, even though I haven't lived my entire life. I can see these people like Rascal and Flipper and so many others being part of my life for a very, very long time. And just an incredible experience, the community, the culture, everything about it. And then after 2019, I got that job with Jen Farr Davis. And in 2020, I was her hostel caretaker in Hot Springs and a backpacking guide with her. And that's where I learned about FKTs, and that just like accelerated the entire like career like in ultras and FKTs after I learned, and was incredibly inspired by her as like a woman role model.
Yeah, totally. So did FKTs or trail running come about first, or like trail races, ultras?
Oh yeah, definitely FKTs, because what I wanted to do in 2020 was just through hike the Mounds of Sea Trail, which goes from Clingman's Dome to Jockey's Ridge across the state of North Carolina. And I just wanted to like through hike it, but then COVID happened and I felt like I needed to do it in a more responsible way. So I got I call it a quarantine crew together. And like, then with Jen, it was like, okay, I could also do this really quickly. So I set off with this crew and we tried to set the FKT on the trail. And I had the mindset of a through hiker going into an FKT. Nutritionally was the biggest downfall because I was not eating the foods I needed to eat out there and was very deficient, and just my brain felt like scrambled eggs at the end. I was not okay. I think I've lost a couple years just from that FKT. It's not healthy.
Is this where the trail name Candy Mama came into play?
No,
that's what your diet was?
No, it was my diet, but that was from the Appalachian Trail. Yeah, but no. Yeah, it was not eating well for 40 miles a day. Absolutely not.
Yeah, well, let's just follow that a little bit. What was the diet out on the AT this year? What was there like a diet plan, or was it as much as you could get in?
have gone through that experience on the Mounds of Sea Trail. Is like, okay, I need to do a lot of research. I need to have a plan for my nutrition. And so I gave Rascal and my mom, who are the two like consistent crew members throughout the FKT, I gave them some like guidelines, what I wanted to look for, and it was 500 calories for breakfast. It was 300 calories an hour as I was hiking. And then every time I saw my crew about 6 to 7 times a day, I drank a 320 calorie protein drink. And then at night I did 1,500 calories and another protein drink. And if I was at the van, I'd do an ice cream sandwich. So that was like the guidelines I had for them. But I also told them, I was like, I want to get as much whole foods as possible, like real foods. That's just, I think that's how my body, I'm not processing gels really well or like liquid calories really well. That's something I need to work on. But like whole foods really works for
Mm-hmm.
me. So we had my camper van, and I bought a Dometic fridge, which was a game changer. I won Run Rabbit, and as you know, they have a huge prize package. So I saved all that money for the FKT, but I also bought a Dometic with it. And what it is just a fridge and freezer. And we were able to keep like all these foods for so long. We didn't have to change the ice. Like that just adds a whole nother factor for the crew to worry about. So that was a game changer. But I think like where we really got our stride in nutrition was when Amy and Steve showed up about 11 days in. It was right outside of Hanover when they came. And Amy just took over the food and nutrition. She kept track of my calories, protein, fats, macros. I don't even know like what I need in those departments, but she just like fed me foods. And I felt more than fueled. Like during FKTs and during through hikes, typically I'm like, oh, I could really go for this or that, or like fast food or like McDonald's, or because I think I'm just like not eating that well. But out there, it's like I didn't crave anything. I was properly fueled by whatever Amy was giving me.
Yeah. Do you think the switch too, because that seems right, maybe a little after the time where it seems like you clicked into a different gear. I mean, if we just discount the whites, even though they're hard. But do you think taking one more thing off your plate too just helped you really be that vessel that just had to move forward?
Yeah, well, I knew going into the very beginning of the FKT that I was giving all the information to Rascal, my mom, and was like, all I'm doing is running. You guys you're well equipped. You don't need me to tell you anything or where anything's at. Y'all have all that information. So I think honestly that took something off Rascal's plate
Okay.
and my mom's plate, because no longer did they have to worry about making food on top of like worrying about trail logistics and setting up pacers and just shopping and all these other things that come with being a crew, which is like so much. They could just give that over to Amy. And Amy also made food for the crew. So she like did dinners at night for the crew, the pacers. She made these mass meals with Steve like built out their van. It has everything. It has a shower. So two out of my three showers were in their camper van right on trail, which was incredible. So I didn't need to go anywhere to take a shower. They have all of these tools to bake, to cook whatever in any sort of way in their van. And that was, I mean, they're incredible. If Amy and Steve are listening, y'all are one of the
Yeah.
MVPs, two of the MVPs out of the crew. There's so many MVPs, but they are big time MVPs for sure.
Just a quick break to talk about the Golden Hour Adventure podcast, who helped another podcast out. We got to stick together. You know, it's mostly us white guys recording episodes, and Justin and Robbie over there decided to help out with some resupply stuff. So thank you to them. Check them out. Golden Hour Adventure podcast. Give them 5 stars, just like we always beg for. All right, back to the episode. Totally. Yeah. What was the normal schedule out there? When would you wake up, and would the crew have to get up before you and have food ready and stuff like that? Like, what was it like for 40 days out there?
Yeah. So, Rascal and I slept in the van, and my mom had the Durango and she slept in the Durango. So Rascal and I would wake up. I also did half camping and half, van camping. And I think that was crucial to the success of the FKT. I'll get into that later. But with, me and Rascal would wake up at 3 a.m. and she would be the first one up. I would kind of be groggy and waking up, and she would get breakfast ready and come over and like start hand feeding me, like spoon feeding me this food, because I was preparing my feet, putting Leuko tape on, putting the socks on. As you know, like putting on the shoes and everything in the morning during an FKT is like incredibly difficult and like the worst part of the day for me, at least. I had like literal holes and sores all over my feet. And So I got my feet ready. She would hand feed me, and 30 minutes later, I would be out on the trail. So I would do like leg swings here and there to just warm up my hips. And then I'd start around 3:30 a.m. and I'd hike for about 17 and a half hours a day on average, meet my crew about 6 to 7 times a day. And I mean, Rascal has so much. I always say this, like I think Rascal, my mom, they have such a different experience of the FKT because there's so many logistics involved. For me, once I was on trail, that's all it was. I was just hiking and doing whatever they want me to do, eating, being paced by whoever they set up, but they had so many other things they had to worry about. So thankful for them. And then I would end anywhere from like 8:30 to 10:30, depending on the terrain and how many miles I had that day and where camp was. And it would either be at the van or camping. So Rascal and JP, who's an ultra teammate of mine, they would backpack gear up to specific locations because with this FKT, I think, historically this FKT has been done in a way that's like get to van crossing or get to road crossings and stay in the road or stay in the road, stay at the roads, but stay in the van.
Yeah.
And I think with how stout it is, I wanted to kind of follow more of a Carl Sabe FKT strategy and like utilizing camping and staying as close to the average amount of miles as possible. So that was like, for me, 54. I think it averaged out. I did 54 a day. And so we utilize half camping and half van stays. So half the time I was in the van, half the time I was in a tent. And I was so thankful that JP and Rascal were willing to bring gear up and we'd all camp there together. They would clean my feet. Rascal would spoon feed me. And then I was in bed or in the van within an hour of getting to the crew at night. And that was pretty much it for 40 days.
Yeah, I think it's so smart. And this thing, I've actually talked to Jamil Curry about this, how there seems to be this gap in supported FKTs of using this hybrid style where the main thing that should be the limiter is your body and being awake and, like sleep and stuff like that. But when you depend on a vehicle so much, you're putting that limiting factor on the vehicle or the road situation. So I think that's genius. And it's fun to see someone finally put that to work where you can sleep wherever, especially if you're a thru hiker, but you sticking to that schedule and that sleep, I think is the most important rather than you might have had to stop at 5 p.m. sometimes or go till 2 a.m. if you just depended on the road crossings.
Yeah. And that's why I think like thru hiking before doing any of this stuff has really set me up for success because like you mentioned, I feel very comfortable in the tent. I sleep very well outside and I think I got my best sleep in the tent. So that is a benefit for me, but I understand there's like some people who go for these FKTs that don't feel as comfortable or don't have a crew that's able to bring their gear up. So I think that's a benefit for sure is like getting that experience, that thru hiking experience in first.
Totally. So when you leave so the tent's like set up when you get to where you're going to sleep, you jump in and sleep. And then do you just get up and go in the morning and they tear down and hike it out and stuff like that?
Yeah.
It's like so bougie in a way.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And so a lot of people I've gotten like mean comments, you understand the mean comments, but like, people are like, so her crew set an FKT. And I was like, okay, well, it was a supported FKT. And if you don't utilize the supported element as much as you can, I mean, you're kind of limiting yourself. I really wanted to lean into this like team aspect because the Appalachian Trail is so huge. It's such a big FKT. It's so stout. Mm-hmm. And it's honestly, it's not me that's doing this FKT. It's all of us together. And I called Rascal like maybe 6 months before going out there in August. And I was like, I feel so much pressure. I need this to be a team effort. I need us to be in all all of us to be in this together. And like, we all took on our jobs before the trail. And then when we got on trail, we all had our jobs. So I was the runner. Rascal was the crew chief and like head of the FKT. She was like the boss. Then there was my mom. She was camp mom. She was crew mom. JP was lead pacer. So and Amy, she was like the chef. So they took on all these jobs, and it's a true team effort. And I don't deny that, like, my crew had such a big hand in this FKT. And that's why I wanted people to refer to this as like chump change FKT. And it's, on FKT's website, it's only like the person who did it, their name is on there. And I'd love to see like somewhat of a change in like the attitude or like the mentality of these supported FKTs, and like start to, especially for the long ones, for it to be, seen as more of like, this team did it. What's this team name? And put them on the FKT website.
Totally. Yeah. How did you guys come up with the name?
Yeah. On the Mountains to Sea Trail, Rascal came out for, I think in all, like maybe 2.5 weeks or like 3 weeks. And she came out and I was withering away. I was not doing okay. And I constantly needed people to tell me it was going to be okay and not to quit. I wanted to quit every single day on the Mountains to Sea Trail. It was so hard. And Rascal was like, well, we just got to get to the next road crossing, or we just got to get to like the next town. And she referred to it as like chump change, like these little bits of the FKT. So getting to the next town is like this little piece of change, and then doing the next town, or doing, the next road crossing. All of those together creates this like large FKT, but you have to split it up into smaller edible sections. And that just kind of was easy for me to like stay in the moment with anxiety. That's something that helps me, is like staying in the moment and not like looking ahead to the future. That's what anxiety is the fear of the future. And she understood that about me, and just being able to say like, oh, something's just chump change. Like, that's nothing. You can do that. You can do 5 miles to the next road crossing. It's chump change. She'd say that all the time. So it was just like natural to bring that into this FKT.
Yeah, I love the aspect too that it feels like it almost lightens the whole aspect of just even having chump in there or change. It's just like, yeah, it's, we're going to have fun and do it our way out there anyways. And, we're going to go from there. And especially being born out of pressure and anxiety too, I think it's even better to break it down, because without doing that, that's where the panic attack comes in.
Exactly. Yeah. In 2017, that is exactly where I panicked, is when I'm looking at the very end, this big goal, and I'm not splitting into these smaller goals. So it was just natural for me. And I mean, she knows me better than I know myself. She knows my abilities, my mentality, my anxiety. So she knows exactly what to say to, keep me motivated.
Yeah, no, that's incredible, and really like a testament to a good crew. And I think some of these FKTs have so many people on a crew that it's like 3 or 4 really dedicated people is what it takes to accomplish something huge.
Yeah.
So it's super cool. So when you decide 2024 is going to be the year you're going after it, how do you start planning for an FKT so massive? Do you call somebody that's done it? What do you do to do it?
I guess the first thing was to ask Rascal to be the crew chief. Without her, I didn't think it would really happen. I just wanted her as a crew chief. And as soon as she was like signed on, I felt comfortable like planning. So the first things were just like talking to those contacts that I have. So I talked to Carl Meltzer the most about his FKT. He has so much information, because he's attempted it a lot. He attempted it a lot before he actually got it. Was it 5 times?
At least 3 times, I think.
Three?
Yeah, at least 3, I think, and then he might have been successful. So, a lot.
Yeah, so I talked to Carl and talked to Liz Durstein a lot, because she's a really good friend of mine. And then I just started making the trail Bible, and that took a while. It's very thick. It's got a lot of information on it. It's got every single road crossing, the coordinates, the accessibility, and how many vehicles could fit in that area. for every single road crossing on the Appalachian Trail. It's also got all the records. So it's got like where, Christian Morgan stopped on his successful Sobo FKT. It has where Carl Sabe and Jen stopped. It's got their times that they're moving all day and their pace throughout the day. Oh man, it's got so much information. It's got like I didn't want to travel away from the trail more than like 5 miles personally, like my crew could, but I wanted to stay as close to the trail. And luckily I only left once during the FKT to go to a hotel because we were getting harassed by a police officer. And so we just felt comfortable staying in a hotel. So so I have all of these towns in this FKT Bible. And then after I made this like big document, this big Bible, this big binder of all the information, I went out to the trail in, when was that? It was before Trail Days. Yeah.
April maybe?
Yeah,
or
somewhere
May,
in
maybe?
there. May, yeah. I went up to Maine and spent like, what was it, like 2-ish weeks going from Maine to like Connecticut and looking at every single road crossing and looking at the accessibility because I knew it would be important to nail Maine and New Hampshire because I was going to go Sobo. I knew it would be important to nail those sections. So I wanted to go out there and put my eyes on these road crossings so my crew wouldn't have to worry about the accessibility when they're out there. Like sometimes you're looking online and they're like, oh, yeah, it's great. But that was like it was like 2008 when somebody wrote that. So I want to go out there and put my eyes on all these road crossings. I got to hike up Grafton Notch and, where else? The Bigelows covered in snow. It was so snowy, so cold. And, so I did a lot of recon. And then after that, I had to go to Colorado and train for a race. And then after the race, I came back, rested for a month and was on the trail.
Yeah. Just some race, Hardrock,
Yeah. Yeah. Hardrock.
How did you fit that into training, I guess? 'Cause Hardrock, people don't know, super hard to get into. So you get this opportunity, but you also have this once in a lifetime FKT.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's good luck or bad luck, but some kind of luck. How did you manage both of those and not wanting to I guess, like do super poorly at either one?
Yeah. So like people told me, they're like, you should probably choose one or the other. It just seems like a lot. And I was like, well, like Hardrock's first. So I'm going to give it my all. And then if the Appalachian Trail doesn't work out, the trail's still going to be there. I'm going to go back again and try again. I was looking at it in a way, I think for some people, they can look at it as a hindrance, like, oh, that's too much on your plate. But I was trying to like look at it a different way and think, okay, this could be a really good opportunity to get acclimated to like 9,000 to 10,000 feet. That's great for being at 5,000 at Mount Katahdin. Like that's great. So I was going to be acclimated. I was going to have this really good big training day in the mountains a month before the FKT. So I thought I would have my legs would be really trained for this FKT. With FKTs, people who normally go into it and like, get fit out there. And I think I got a little more fit out there, but I think I was going into it really fit from Hardrock. So I was trying to view it in this different way that it was going to help me and not hinder my performance. Because if I dove too deeply into like, oh my gosh, like what if I'm not rested? What if Hardrock like messed me up? I think it did mess me up, but I wasn't looking at it that way. If I view it in that way, then it's just going to throw me off. And I just wanted to like view it in a different way.
A quick break to talk about what I am wearing during this FKT, and spoiler alert, it's all jaunty. So I'm wearing the men's Trekker snappy shirt, the reverse paisley color. Why? Because it's short sleeve and it's quick drying, and it's just really easy to open up and get a little bit more ventilation when humidity is going to be high out there on the AT. I'm also wearing the men's AFO middle short ultra. I wear a size medium. they're just great because they have pockets, and the world just needs more pockets. I can keep a bunch of snacks in my pockets, and I have hip belt pockets and side pockets and front pockets. So I just need food everywhere because I'm going to be eating between 8 and 10,000 calories a day. So I love the pockets on the men's AFO Middle Short Ultra from Janji. And then the AFO Hyperlight Visor. Do visors look dumb? I don't know, but I'm in my 30s now, so it doesn't really matter. And they're just cool. I can put a bandana or a towel, cover my neck in the sun, or if I stick that bandana or towel in the water, it's just really good and cooling. So that is what I'm wearing. Shop at Janji, janji.com. Use code FREEOUTSIDE for a discount and tell them I sent you. Back to the episode. Totally. So headed into Hardrock, like maybe the couple months before, were you doing more training based on Hardrock 100 or for the AT? What kind of was the training? More running based?
Yeah. I was doing all Hardrock training. I thought that would translate really well to the Appalachian Trail. As you know, you can't really replicate an FKT at all if you go out for like a week and like do 50-mile days in the mountains. And but like I didn't have that. I can't do that. But I thought it would be a really good, it would replicate really well to the Appalachian Trail. And so I was leading up to, I was doing a lot of like time on feet, just a lot of like adventures in the mountains. I did a day with my friend Maggie and 2 other friends, and we went up Handies, which is on the course, and we went down and like, I forget which one was first, but Red Cloud and Sunshine, 2 other 14ers. And then we traced our way back. So in that day, we did like 5 14ers, if you look at it at the out and back kind of way. And so I did like just a lot of adventures, a lot of running, a lot of time on feet. I was also doing a lot of like PT work. I sprained my ankle this time last year, and it just like didn't heal well, and I just had to do a lot of PT for my ankle, and then I kind of added in like knee work and like hip work as well. So that was pretty much the training leading into both of those things.
Yeah, I think it's an evolving world kind of FKT training, because I think it used to be just go through hike or go walk a lot. Now most FKTs, with at least the competitive ones, seem to need some amount of running or running efficiency and stuff like that, because they're so fast now.
Yeah, they are fast. Are you talking about like the those routes that are like a little shorter, like under 100 miles? Like I was looking at the Shenandoah FKT, and that's like so fast. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah, well, I think anything under like 300 miles, or a lot of them, are like a 4 mile an hour average. And when you throw in, if it's unsupported, throw in having to like get water and mess with stuff, like you better be running the downhills. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. They're very stout. Like now what Kyle Curtin did on the Colorado Trail, he was moving all the time and moving fast.
Like 90 miles a day at 10,000 feet for 7 days in a row.
Kyle is a tank.
Yeah, it's incredible. And that was like the first, I think, exposure to how much you can lean on a crew. I mean, yours naturally just came after that, but his crew did everything. It was pretty incredible. So I paced him for the first 3 days, and that is actually where I got the idea of having my pacers carry everything, getting water, carrying all the food, giving me food. I don't make decisions. Watching his crew and pacing him really, I mean, that did it for me. If I hadn't paced him, I don't think I would have had a successful FKT on the Appalachian Trail. Well, that's awesome. And it's so in the FKT ethos. I mean, everything about your FKT, how it's like started with others who have the record and then progressed to helping someone else get a record and then implementing all of that and getting a record yourself. It feels like that's how FKT should happen. Like someone gives back and is part of it and asks others, like, stand on the shoulders of giants. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, I think it's so important to like share. I mean, not everyone has to do this, but I think like for me, I want to share all of this information because I want the FKT. People are like, oh, that's never going to be broken. With Carl Sabe, they were like, we're never going to see in our lifetime that record going down. And with me, they're like, oh, it's never going to get broken. I'm like, if you just listen to me, if you listen to my information, you could do it. You can do it better than me. If you're a little bit faster than me, then, and you have like enough like if you're good with sleep deprivation, you could definitely beat me. And I think it's important to share all that information so we can just continue to see these FKTs getting broken down, and like we're really seeing what humans are capable of, which is exciting.
Totally. Yeah. And speaking of sharing, how did you get video and document and keep track of things out there on the trail, which you're putting out on YouTube and stuff now? How did you capture stuff like that?
I just whipped out my phone when I was feeling like talking to somebody and I just filmed myself. Yeah, that was pretty much it. Yeah, sometimes that was my downfall. I fell a lot out there. I'm very clumsy, very, very clumsy, like so very clumsy. And, sometimes I'd be focused on the camera. It was actually, I think it was in the second day vlog at the very end. I went back. I fell backwards down this like rock face and just skinned my arm. And it was just like bleeding, gushing blood. I was like, well, that's what I get for vlogging. You literally see the fall and I'm like, damn it, at the end.
So it was just like take video and then figure it out after the record was the plan.
Yeah, just put it together in some way. And I think like the daily vlog style is always like, I've always really enjoyed sharing with people and sharing like daily updates. So that was pretty much it. Just see what happens afterwards.
Yeah. And you've also filmed some of your races that you've done quite well at too. You might be like if you put place or elite in place and also capturing the race, you might be like number one in being able to capture like the most successful races. I think, how do you balance that, being competitive, also filming, also racing?
I think it comes with practice. I think just like knowing that I want to share. I started the channel before my thru hike on the Appalachian Trail, and I wanted to share the thru hike with my family, and then it just like people just joined in. I really enjoyed sharing my experience with people on YouTube, and then I transitioned into ultras. I was like, okay, how can I like get my viewers and my subscribers like into this? And then I just started vlogging my races, and ever since I started, I was just vlogging every single race, and it just seemed natural to keep doing that. And it's fun to look back. I love like these 100-mile race reviews I do, and watching the races and seeing what I filmed. The Hardrock one I just did, it's super long because I have like me and my friend Brooke's footage in it, and I didn't really edit it. It's very raw. But it's just so fun to look back at the race. I've always been somebody that takes way too many pictures and videos because I'm so nervous I'll forget things. And I also love sharing with people. So it just seemed natural to do that with the channel for races.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you also end up with like 10 of the same photo, 10 of the same video? Because I was just on a run today and I was trying to film something, and I have like 20 of the nearly the same video with like a slip up on a different word every time.
Yeah. I have a lot of those. I also have like just from the same runs, like day after day, I'll film something, and it's like just like I'm running with my camera. I'm just like running with it in front of me, just showing off the scenery, and it doesn't look that impressive. And it's also like what I filmed every single day for the last week. So it's cool. It's fun. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, totally. I mean, is that like part of the joy of some of the runs that are just like a training run too? Does that kind of make it more enjoyable than just having to go out and run?
Yeah, I love nature, and I love filming it. And I think this might be weird to say. I love sharing with people especially on my Instagram, on my stories, and on YouTube, because there's some people, some subscribers, some followers that have reached out to me in comment sections or DMs, and they say like, I am not able to do this stuff, and I'm not able to like go out there and experience these things. Go to like in Silverton, I was able to get to the top of Handy's Peak and I'm filming it. And like some people aren't able to do that. So I think, it's really fun to share that with everyone, but especially those people that don't have like the physical capabilities to do that, and still love nature and want to experience it. I think about those people in the back of my head. I think about like people who don't do 100-mile races, like showing them what it's really like, really raw, what it's like to be out there and to be at your limit. I think about those people a lot.
Totally. And I think that's one of the really cool things about social media or the video platform in general is people who live in Virginia may never have been to or never will go to Colorado, but now they can see what it's actually like and things like that. I think it just it almost humanizes places by putting into perspective what it's actually like, or what is it like in a blizzard. Well, now you can look up a video and figure it out. Or what does the Appalachian Trail even look like? Like when I started, I didn't look up any of those videos. I just went out on the PCT with no idea what I was doing. I think it just makes it more accessible to more people too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say on that, but I totally agree. I think it makes it really accessible, and YouTube's such an interesting place. I love YouTube. I love exploring YouTube. Like yesterday, I just like sat and watched these like wild videos. I don't know if you want to put this in your podcast, but a guy who ate 5 edibles and ran 13 miles through New York City, and he was sharing his experience. I was like, this is amazing, and the best video I've watched in such a long time. It's a wild place, and you could just throw anything up there. I watched this one video where this guy just sat in this public park while it rained and said he was going to smoke cigarettes all day and drink a beer. And that's all he did. He just filmed his experience in a public park, smoking and drinking in a public park. YouTube's such a fun place, and I love being able to like add, even though I'm not like this crazy big like creator or anything, but I think I enjoy this space, and I'm able to connect with my subscribers in a meaningful way. YouTube's a fun place.
Yeah, it's so fun. At least, I mean, if people dive back into the way back of my YouTube, it's been so fun when I've had like no following or anything to just like test out comedy and post things that make me laugh. Like I did an unboxing of like a t-shirt, or I did a review of my own book. Like no one watched them. There's like 200 views, but I find them so funny. And yeah, just like my old YouTube stuff is so good. I did a review of tent stakes. It was when COVID hit, I just was like, I'm leaning into YouTube hard because I don't know how else to entertain myself. But it is just like this free outlet and expression and creativity, I think, is underutilized. It doesn't really matter if people watch what you're putting out there, if it's entertaining, engaging, fun for you to put it out. And I love the process of what's a funny idea? How am I going to film this? What should I say? Put it out there. I mean, if you can just let go of caring that much, it's so fun.
I think, there's nothing wrong with people's like motivations when they go to YouTube. But I think some people's motivations when they go to YouTube and try to create a channel, it's to get big and to, start getting monetized and this and that. And there's nothing at all wrong with that. It's just different motivations. But I think I have really enjoyed this space of being able to like throw up, like kind of like what you said. I'm not as funny as you are, so I don't have a lot of funny videos, but I'm able to create whatever I want and not be worried about the algorithm picking it up because I just enjoy it and it's fun to make. I think that's a good place to be in for me. If I was always worried about having my numbers, be a certain way, I think it wouldn't be as enjoyable.
Totally. Yeah. And depending on, or looking at numbers or analytics is so tricky because that's putting your own satisfaction or self-worth into the hands of others. And I think that's a scary place to be. So
yeah,
the
Yeah.
enjoyment in putting it out there and inspiring or getting that one comment back, I think is way more important.
Yeah.
So I have a couple more questions. This one's from Matt. Matt in Vermont sent this in. So would you go Nobo or Sobo if you did the AT again, the FKT?
Oh, if I was like, if I wanted to go out there for the FKT and a different experience, I would go Nobo. If I solely was going out there and I was like FKT, like that is my main goal, Sobo for sure.
Sobo's faster if you've never done it before?
Sobo, my experience for an FKT is better mentally for me because you're getting Southern Maine and New Hampshire done with first. And for me, that helps my anxiety. If I started Nobo and I knew, because I've thru hiked, so I know what's coming. If I knew like that is at the end of this FKT, like I have to do the hardest, most technical trail at the end, I would just be thinking about that every day. So in my head, like in my mind, it was like, oh, it's better to just get that done with. And then not that the Appalachian Trail gets any easier, but it's definitely, you're not ending with the hardest part. So yeah, in my opinion,
Totally.
that is the way to go. But everyone has their different stance on it. Like people who have gone northbound say that, you know, the idea behind that is that you're going to get fit. You're going to have those trail legs. You're going to have a great routine going into the whites in, Southern Maine. And that's why, you know, people like Carl Sabe did it going north.
Yeah. Okay. 2 more things. First, I want to hear the police harassment story if you're allowed to say it.
Well, I wasn't there, but Rascal and the crew they're chilling at a road crossing. I guess it was a parking lot, and I guess it was in like a park. Okay. And maybe they weren't allowed to be there after dark. Maybe. I don't know. I never went through. But they were just chilling there. I was still on the trail, you know, making my way towards them. I think I had like 10 miles left. So they're setting up for the night. And it was just a police officer came through and was like, hey, you know, you can't stay here overnight. And they're like, okay, yeah, it's fine. He asked what they're doing. And they told him about the FKT. And the funniest thing that I've heard the entire FKT, he said that it was illegal to travel along the Appalachian Trail at night and you could get arrested for that. What?
Wow. It seems like a few thousand people a year break that law.
Yeah, I was like, so he just like was mansplaining and like talking at Rascal, not really like listening at all. So she's just like, this feels weird. And like, he did say like, you can stay here. I'm going to leave, but like, I'll come back. Like he was just being really weird and shady. And so she's like, I don't want to deal with that. Like if we have to worry about somebody coming in, like disturbing us, like we're not going to get the proper sleep that we need. So they just decided instead of finding like another road crossing, we're just going to go to a hotel, kind of reset. And that was the first and only time that we went more than like a quarter mile away from the trail.
Totally.
Well, they did, but yeah. I didn't.
Yeah, no, that could really be a little creepy. I think it's a lot safer to just go get a hotel.
Yeah.
Put yourself out of that scenario. So then the last thing I wanted to ask is what kind of mindset or how do you attack something that is so big and could possibly end in failure or competing against the best in the world in a race like that when there is this doubt or it's scary and failure's a real option? How do you think of that, or how should people think of that? And I mean, just convince us all to go after things that are scary.
Yeah. I think that's a really loaded question. Yeah.
Totally.
I appreciate that you asked that. Because there's a lot of opportunities. There's so many factors in this FKT. So there's a lot of opportunities for failure. So like, I really didn't know what was going to happen. And like I mentioned in the beginning, it was more like curious, like, what can I do out on this trail? Like, what can I do with like my fitness and with my crew? What can we make happen out there. And it was more like curiosity. I didn't know if it was possible, especially like when going into the FKT, I thought like, I know women like can compete on these like multi-day, multi-week FKTs or like races. I know we can compete. I know we have that special gift of endurance. And also, if I look at this in the way of it being like a race, so like I'm racing against Carl Sabe and Christian Morgan and Jenfar Davis, like if I look at it in that way, like everyone has their experience out on the course and it could go either way. So what if my race went really well, and I came out victorious? Like, I never know. If I don't go out there and I just try, I think I was just like really curious. And I think I knew that, I had, I'm trying to like work through this, but I knew that if it didn't work out with the overall FKT, I had the Sobo, I could go after the Sobo FKT. And if I didn't have the Sobo FKT, I could jump down to like the women's FKT. So I had a couple different things I could go for. And I think that kind of made like the chance of risk maybe like a little less because I wasn't going after just one FKT. And so that's why I'm really interested in next year going for an FKT that is very stout and just having like one goal, one record to go after to see like, how my mindset is then. So I think I had this like idea I could like jump down if need be, but I was focused on the overall FKT going in. But then after Maine and New Hampshire, where I had really bad weather, I was slowed down a lot. The rocks were really slick. I was falling a lot. I didn't think it was possible anymore. And that's why I think it's so important to have a crew behind you who believes in your abilities, who knows you really well, who's really competitive, like Rascal, my mom, very competitive people, and they're not willing to like let up on a goal. And it's also important to like rely on those people as well. If I had made the decision of what to do when we were 100 plus miles behind the FKT, then I wouldn't have the overall FKT. I'd have, maybe Sobo or women's, which are still very stout records, by the way. But it's not the overall FKT. If I had made that decision, if I had not given up control of like my decision making, then we wouldn't have the FKT because Rascal, my mom, they made a plan and we made it happen together as a team. So I think it's really important to like have people behind you who can make these decisions, and they know you really well and they trust you and they support you. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Totally.
I know that's a lot. I think it's important. Yeah. I think like you mentioned in the beginning, people are afraid to fail. And yeah, it sucks. I know it really sucks if you fail, but I think it adds to your experience as a person. I think we aren't promised like success as humans. I think failure is part of that human experience that more people need to be comfortable with because it makes you a more multidimensional person. So don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to go out there and just like put it out on the line because you might find that it works out or you might find that you need to fix something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you only succeed at everything, you've never tested your limit. You've never hit where you're going to fail. So what's the fun in that?
So true.
You leave so much on the table. Failing is just realizing you need to improve in some way, or it's not for you, and that's totally fine too.
Yeah.
So what's your FKT for next year? Are you sharing this yet?
Kind of not really. It's also not that big of a deal too, but I was looking at the Long Trail FKT because that's just been a trail I've always wanted to explore. Love Vermont so much. Vermont is like, I should just move to Vermont, honestly. I have so many buds there and like the trails are gorgeous. The whole state smells so amazing. So I just want to explore the state and explore the Long Trail. And I want to go after Will's record because we're going to do a little swap of information. I'm going to give him my trail Bible. He's going to give me his Long Trail information. And so, yeah, we'll see how that goes. But it's definitely a record I want to go after.
Thank you for listening to the show. Please support our sponsors because that's how I keep the lights on in my tent. Actually, that's how I afford headlamp batteries. No, those were actually given to me too. I don't know what the money is going towards right now because I am extremely homeless. I have 2 tents, a summer and a winter home, as I call them. But you can support the show, but mostly just donate to the Trevor Project because my expenses are so low that I can afford to have all your Patreon money funneling into the Trevor Project for at least another week or two. And this episode and all of them are brought to you by Janji, JANJI.com, promo code FREEOUTSIDE. And you get a significant discount. The more you spend, the more you save because it's a percentage discount. In Mount to Coast, I'm wearing those shoes on the entirety of the Appalachian Trail, assuming I make it through the entirety of it. CS Coffee because it's caffeine. And then Garage Grown Gear. Most of my gear can be found at Garage Grown Gear, and if it can't be found there, it's a prototype because I'm special. All right, thank you guys for listening. Smash that subscribe just listen to another podcast and all the promo they do for their own podcast, apply that to this one. All right, stay elite, my friends.